Hi, hello. Today is a bit of a different kind of video as I'll be giving kind of a quick walkthrough on the process of my latest art project, which is Ahri in League of Legends. This video is partly for myself, as I always say in my video descriptions, as I'll kind of be able to archive this moment in time and look back on exactly how I made my way through this process. But it's also kind of to showcase the kind of work that it took to complete, as this project took roughly a month and a half to complete and around 86 hours. Now, a lot of that was due to my procrastination and laziness, and partly because of my inexperience in this level of detail. Overall, I do think this project was worth it, as I learned a lot and gained a lot of experience in this type of realistic rendering style. But if I were forced to go all the way back to the beginning and start over, I think I would rather do something else. As usual, I started with the line art. This time around, it consisted of me looking at references from websites and taking pictures of myself, and then using those as direct inspiration for the pose. I first use simple circles and lines to mark the joints and bones, and then move on to more geometric shapes. I use a cube to get a good starting point for my head and face, and base the structure off of that. You'll see that as I overlay all my layers, it all matches up. It gives me a good structure to base my final line art off of. This time around, the line art was very messy, but I think it still came out alright. Going forward, I really need to go back to basics again, and work on my forms before I do anything else. So after I'm done with the line art, I immediately fill in everything with flat colors underneath, like a coloring book, and then make another copy of these colors on a separate layer and change them to black and white. This saves me a bit of time later and leads me right into my grayscale process. Here I ignore colors for now and focus on my black and white values, where light will be hitting, where it isn't, as well as how strong it'll be overall. After that, I bring back my flat color layer and overlay it on top of my grayscale using the overlay filter. This combines the two layers and brings some values to my flat colors, although they're not very saturated yet. This is when I use more layers like hard light or color dodge to saturate everything and bring the color that I want in the final version. Moving on, we reach the longest part of the project, the rendering phase. This section of the project is all about adding details, more details, and then some more details. I find that success in this part depends a lot on the quality of references you have on hand. A lot of the time this is when you can relax a bit because you're just color picking, moving colors around and trying to add textures instead of worrying about your base forms or the composition. But this time around, it was challenging for me as I was rendering a lot of materials in this style for the first time. Sometimes I would doubt myself a little when something didn't come out looking right on my first try, but as I kept at it, I was usually able to figure out how to get materials looking right. Sometimes little things as simple as an edge highlight or going down a value in darkness in an area could completely transform a material and make it realistic. When you look at references from real life or other artists, you usually only see the finished product, so it's kind of hard to figure out what makes an item look so realistic. Which is why during this project it felt like I was almost training my eyes to break down the unique aspects of things like metal or fur in order to use them in my own art. I didn't even get close to nailing everything, but I achieved a level of quality that I haven't achieved before, so I consider that a win. After most of the rendering has been completed, I usually go over everything one more time to add in final details and clean up my edges. This time around, I focused a lot on adding strands to the hair and adding details to the sleeve that I forgot to add before. Good to wait and save these sorts of changes till the end of the process, because adding them too early on can be a waste of time if you decide to completely redo a certain area. From here, the very last thing I do is adjust the colors of the final version. This can really help bring out colors that you want to focus on, or even change your colors altogether. I experimented a little with adding some cooler colors, but ultimately decided on bringing out the yellows a bit more and darkening the shadows. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I wanted to record a lot more footage of the actual process, but I didn't actually think about it until the project was already over. I'm also not sure when the next video will be or what it'll be about, because it's going to be a lot of boring practice work for a while. Even though this project went well, I did make a lot of mistakes, so I'll be working on those the next few months.